All right, hi, I'm Greg Munden, Munden Ventures in Kamloops, British Columbia. Thanks for joining us today on this Facebook live feed. The first time that I think either Dan or I have tried this. Wanted to get together today and just talk a little bit from two different perspectives in the industry about electronic logbooks, the upcoming regulation, and sort of the experience that I've had with my small trucking business implementing ELDs, as well as the perspective of an electronic logbook supplier in the industry that I've had the pleasure to work with for 4 or 5 years now, Dan Palma from Streamline Technologies.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I think it's a great idea, and hopefully we can help our viewers out there with some learnings and some ideas. So I'm excited about this.
So we wanted to first start off by, I guess, giving a little bit of background. Our company implemented electronic logbooks voluntarily about over 4 years ago now. We partnered with Streamline quite early on in the process. We wanted to be kind of innovative and I guess get into the technology ahead of when we pushed to get into the technology and see what we could do with it. So we've done that and kind of partnered with Streamline really in early days, even though it's your 12th birthday today, I understand.
Happy birthday to us, I guess.
Yeah. Sort of what, can you tell us kind of what brought Streamline to that point and then to this point?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Streamline itself is 12 years old as a technology company. We went to market just a few years ago. Greg and his group were one of our first test customers, if you will, so been really instrumental in getting us to market. The parent company, Aero Transportation, has been in transportation 100 years, trucking, logistics, all kinds of services. So been running telematics for a long time, voluntarily for a long time, really trying to drive cost control, variable cost control and savings and profitability. So that's how we get together. We're from the same community. We're talking about where the business is going, where technology is going, and we decided we're going to work together and help each other, both move a platform into market and get a company into a platform. So it's been really good. I mean, we can't thank Greg and his team enough, and I think we've learned quite a bit together, really, if you think about the last 4 years.
Yeah, we have done that. The idea today is not to market a product. It's not to promote anything in particular. I'm really passionate about the movement to electronic logbooks. I think there's lots of benefits to the industry. I really want to just sort of pass on some of our lessons that were hard learned along the way. And as well maybe bring some insight just generally from the ELD supplier perspective into what people should think about when considering transitioning to ELDs. As most everybody knows, the US has adopted a couple of years ago. Canada's looking to, it looks like the regulation seems to, it stutters and starts, but it looks like there's a very strong likelihood that within about 12 months we should see regulation in Canada. Any Canadian carriers that are crossing the border are absolutely going to have to be compliant for the US market by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So there's, I guess, kind of time is of the essence, in my view, for people to get knowledgeable about ELDs and what it might take. I mean, what's your experience from a timeline perspective to have a company smoothly transition into ELDs?
Yeah, that is a big question. I mean, it's one we get more and more often. And it's funny, when you come from the trucking side of the business that I was on before, you take it for granted that you were already in a platform and really don't understand what it takes to get started. And I think we've been underestimated at times. And honestly, Greg, I think you're 6 months minimum, I think, before you can really take something and get some value out of it. And we were talking, offline about that's not 6 months from when you start looking for a provider. That's 6 months from when you've chosen and started having hardware sent out towards you. So, I think it's not too early right now to be thinking about it and getting involved, because at the end of the day, you want to be successful. You don't do this because you want to be compliant. I think there's other value pieces to this tool that you want to be able to drive and get that return back on that investment. You don't want to spend $3 to get $2 back, if you will.
Well, and I think the transition piece is even becoming more complicated. There is a myriad of suppliers out there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, trucking is competitive. I don't know if I'd want to play in the ELD space right now. With it seems like everybody's got a solution that they're coming out with, whether it's on an iPhone or whether it's on on a tablet or whether it's a full-blown integrated system in a truck.
Yeah.
So in my experience, when you start researching the choices out there, you need to plan for a lot more time than what you might expect to weed through and find a solution that works for you. And in our case, obviously the ability to have the system develop as regulation developed was important, but for us, probably the number one thing was driver ease of use. I mean, a simple system that isn't going to complicate a driver's day and actually just enhances his day and makes it easier to do what he does. That was number one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's always the worry for companies that haven't embraced it yet. They're worried about, what are my drivers going to say? Am I going to lose drivers? Do I need to do this in advance? But you know what? In all honesty, we found that the people that have taken it on and put the technology in that is easy to use. And again, not speaking specifically to one platform, but if it's a good, simple platform that drivers can log in very simply, they can get through the workflow really, really easily. I think you got to win. I think what you find, and what we found a lot, is that if you do that part well with the user interface and the usability, the drivers don't want to give it back. If they're in a test period where it's, let's try this for a week, a month, or whatnot, it's usually the drivers pushing back on you, the owner, saying, hey, I don't want to give this up. I actually like it a lot.
And I think for us, there's lots of good reason outside of regulation to adopt telematics and electronic logbooks. I think about us implementing ELDs early. We got rid of all of the clerical errors that we have on logbooks. So we don't get logbook violations because a driver forgot to dot an I or sign a page or keep his logbook right up to date. We don't have compliance issues from that perspective, and we've stopped looking at all of our logbooks. We only look at the ones that the system points out could be a problem, which for us is a time saver. And I think, I guess, philosophically, from my perspective, I think ELDs are important. I mean, they're probably the single biggest thing in our industry that will help level the playing field. If you don't want to adhere to the hours of service, don't implement ELDs real soon. But I think the bulk of the companies, certainly that we work with and work around, don't have an interest in exceeding the hours of service, and they would like to have the industry do what we can to rid the industry of those that don't want to comply.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the one remaining argument or concern that carriers really could have about not moving to the technology. And I think that there's so many more benefits to moving to it, compliance aside and regulation aside, that companies can gain by implementing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, if you look at the history, my background is in software. It's on the transportation side of the business. So I grew up in that side of the business. So for me, the technology was never about compliance. Of course, it's an important part. It's a part we need to be wary of and we need to introduce as technology starts to embrace different ways to handle the compliance piece. But for us, it was always about making money. I mean, let's be honest. Companies are in business. They're not charities. They're trying to make money. So anything we could do to drive variable cost control with the telematics platform was critical to us. And back in the day, when these platforms were a lot more heavy in terms of investment up front and monthly expenditures, it still made sense for us. There was still a value of return on investment. So for me, that's a good reason. You shouldn't ideally spend money on a platform and have it cost your business more money. We should be able to insert the cost of your telematics platform into your cost model, into your P&L, and you should find that you have more money at the end of the day because we found money on all the other lines. And I know that to be true. I mean, I've lived it. So I'm very passionate about it. That's what's nice for me to come at it from this angle with people like yourself that embrace the technology, because I really believe that, we can help your business. The tool can help your business. And whether it's our tool or another tool, it can certainly help the business. And I think that's fantastic. I think that helps our industry. It helps us all get to the same place at the end of the day. We want to do things right. And again, I don't think it's horrible to say we want to make a profit. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with making a profit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for joining us for this session, this discussion on ELDs and telematics. We'll probably continue it in another session, but Really appreciate you checking in. Love to hear your comments and feedback. You can also click on our link below and read our blog on the topic, and as well click on the link to find out more information about Streamline. So thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great job.